Good morning. I'm back again. This time I want to talk to you about something that is important for us to consider. When we first began this, we talked about how to be church when we can't gather as church. Now, here's a specific aspect of how to be church, especially with regard to being a reconciled and reconciling church when we have no access to the sacrament of reconciliation because we don't have an access to priest. So, how to go to confession when we're all in lockdown. That's what I want to talk about today. The sacrament of reconciliation, or penance, or confession as it's sometimes called, is the ordinary way for Christians to find forgiveness for serious mortal sin after baptism. Forgiveness for less serious sin, venial sin, is always available. Note, always available. The Church has consistently taught this. Always available through fervent prayer, acts of mercy, fasting, and the like. Well, that sounds not unlike what Lent, what our Lenten practices are. So the forgiveness of venial sin is always available that way. But the Church has also consistently taught that forgiveness for serious sin is available when a priest is not, through an act of perfect contrition. What's that? Good question. Perfect contrition is sorrow for sin because of the love of God. And that love of God means not only our love for God, but God's love for us. So if we are sorry about our sin, for that reason, that's called contrition or perfect contrition. But there's also imperfect contrition. Imperfect contrition is sometimes also called attrition. And what imperfect contrition is sorrow for sin for other reasons, like, I don't want to go to hell. And what the Church has taught is that in the sacrament of reconciliation, the sacrament of penance in confession, that all that's necessary is attrition. That God forgives serious sin if only the only reason we have is because we don't want to go to hell. But apart from the sacrament, how about the forgiveness of serious sin? This act of perfect contrition is the way that we seek forgiveness of serious sin when we can't get to a priest. It has three parts. First of all, contrition or sorrow because of the love of God, as I just described earlier. It's the love of God above all that is the reason for the sorrow for our sin. And the second thing is, this is a sincere request on our part for God's forgiveness and mercy. We truly seek God's forgiveness. It's not just going through some kind of a ritual to avoid hell, but really we want the forgiveness of God. And the third aspect that completes this and makes it possible for the forgiveness of serious sin outside of the sacramental confession itself is the resolve to make that confession as soon as the priest is available. So The church understands our need to be right with God, to be forgiven for sin. And the church has understood all along that God's mercy is abundant. And she teaches that even in these difficult times, this is how we find that forgiveness of God. And this is what we must know and learn, and, especially in families, teach others. Thank you for your attention, and may God bless you always.